Yo, what's going on? Kunal here, Bulls on Wall Street, guys. Sunday watch list. Sorry, it's a little bit late. You have the Detroit Lions on. It's a beautiful day out in Destin, Florida. Get a nice misty day on the beach. I'm just getting back in and to work. Got an awesome list for you guys. As you guys probably noticed or heard, it was gangbusters on Friday. It was really gangbusters for a good chunk of the week. You know, we finally had a key breakout in the small cap, midcap realm, and we saw runners across the board. This is what traders have been waiting for a long time. We've had a lot of false signals. There's a lot of hype in the market, and there's a few good things going on that I think, we've got to be aware of. And we just have to make sure that we don't get too carried away. I have seen this over and over the course of my career. You have a handful of huge days in the market. You think this is it, and maybe you missed out on a little bit of the run. You underperformed. You've got a little FOMO. Now you're in oversizing to make up for that kind of miss that you had the previous week. And the market ended up giving a false signal, and it's not some bottom or not some big breakout, but it was just a bounce. And now you're getting this wicked pullback, and you're balls deep on really some suspect names. And I've seen that a few times in this market. We had a key breakout in the IWM, but look, we've had these kind of runs before, right? If you look here in June, we had this huge run in the IWM. You got broke over the 200-day moving average. You had a same type of deal, this 2.5%, 3% move. You had some follow through, and then it was like wham, right? And you got kind of yanked a little bit, and then boom, it ended up following through. But then, right, you kind of rolled over, and we've seen this a few times where the IWM goes on these runs, and we think, holy crap, this is going to give us that sustained move. Our old school market is back. Guys, the old school market is not coming back. The COVID market was just the COVID market. That happens every 4 or 5 years. It's not like some abnormal thing or some normal thing. This is the market. What we had in 2022, all of 2020, this is a normal market. Stocks go up, stocks go down, and you have periods of euphoria and periods where you're pulling your hair out. That is just the nature of things. But it has been 2021, 2022, and this year has been a great day traders market. Maybe not so much for swing traders. It's been a little bit more. You got to be more ninja style, right? 3-4 day holds instead of 3-4 week holds. But it has been very tradable. There's a lot of awesome stuff going. But let's take a look into what's happening into the market. So I think first thing, we've been waiting for a rotation in the markets for quite some time, and we're starting to see it, right? The QQQs is only up about 2.29% last week. Not last week, but on Friday. And, we were kind of consolidating pretty much this whole week, right? And so nothing there to really see. If you look here, right, if you look at the 5-day sword on the QQQs, right here, you got 0.11% move, so really kind of bottom of the pack, right? And we started to see a little bit of rotation, right, in some names. And so, that's something that we're going to have to be aware of, right? Like if you saw what was kind of leading the way, right, it was a little bit more on your ARKy names, right? You got ARKy names, gold names, but look at ARK, right? 0.8%, and then the other ARK, right? Up 11% or 9%. So, we had more movement in the ARKy names than your general big tech. And we've been waiting for this for a long time, right? The Magnificent 7, your Tesla, Googles, and all these things led the way for a long time. It is nice to have a little bit of rotation. At the moment, I think this is our plan, all right? If we get a week open on the IWM, hopefully we get a week open. I'm not going to look at the futures and tell you about them. I don't look at the futures. Nobody can predict the futures. Unless you're trading futures, what's the point of staring at the futures, right? It just causes you a lack of sleep. If we get a pullback on the IWM, we're going red to green on this. I got a good watch list for this, all right? If we get some big gap up, then we're going to probably have to sit out the open. We'll wait for a deeper pullback, or we'll wait for the ranges to settle. and and we'll just have to play it along that end. If we just have a small green open, then everything is on the table still. We can hit the first pullback. We can do an opening range breakout. There's a lot of good stuff happening. Before we get into the watch list, I want you to just dig into a couple things. Well, first of all, beyond IWM, which is looking fantastic, right? We have big time breakout in gold, right? If you look here, this is a weekly chart of gold. Bros, right? You got a big breakout setting up here. Look at for those of you guys, look at the options contracts on gold on Friday. These are 0 DTE, so they're not necessarily representative, right, of your daily action. But look at this stuff, right? 700%, 600%, 400%. I mean, that's insane. This is gold, right? It never moves, right? So I think gold's something to keep an eye on. This is a longer-term play. You want to be probably after this breaks out, right? You want to be hitting this on dips, and as long as that breakout holds, remember, the bigger the base, the sweeter the berry. Wait, the bigger the base, the sweeter the juice. Something like that, right? And if you look here, this is your monthly chart of, right, GLD. You are in a rarefied territory. You're probably breaking out as we speak. Now, we are overbought a little bit. We've been kind of cruising up for quite a few days here, minus some rest days. But markets can stay overbought for a long time. So can indexes. So can, right, instruments like gold. And we are getting some rest days in between. So it may be overbought, but it's not necessarily extended, if that makes sense. Those are not mutually exclusive. So just something to be mindful of. Last thing, TLT, big push on Friday too, right? We want to see, right, those rates coming down and the bonds, right, moving around and the proper correlations, right? There's been a correlation of recent between, right, the IWM and rates. The small caps and mid caps move more and are more interest rate sensitive than the rest of the market because, right, these companies are going to be in debt. They probably have inventories. They're always refinancing things, right? Small business. We run on lines of credit and, all sorts of, right? You're jerry-rigging all sorts of stuff. That's just the way the markets work. So keep an eye on GLD, TLT, and IWM, right? Week open, this is where we want to go. So let's go into the watch list. I'm going to start from favorites to not favorites, if that makes any sense, all right? So, first of all, we've got a couple. I'm going to move these in buckets, all right? 3 buckets I want you to put. Bucket 1 is earnings breakouts, all right? Bucket 1 is earnings breakouts. Earnings breakouts can be swing traded or day traded, all right? So they can be swing traded or day traded. That's totally, the tour du jour. By the way, earnings breakouts have been the number 1 mover of the markets of recent. You can see like stocks that you're not even familiar with, right? Like STNE. This move here was on earnings, right? Like Roku. See this move right here? This is on earnings. It's the most powerful catalyst that you can have in the markets, right? SQ, this gap here on earnings. Earnings is the most powerful driver of stocks, especially on, right, a weekly to monthly basis. So some earnings breakouts for this coming week that we want to be potentially day trading, but also, hold on, I'm having a little bit of trouble here getting this mouse to stick. What the heck? Hold on here. Wham, bam. I don't know. We'll type this in El Natural, right? So, ESTC. Oh, we've got this one. This is a nice earnings breakout over here. You got to take it out a big base here, right? You got a big base out this way. Dudes, I mean, this is the way to go, right? This is the tour du jour here. We want to be a part of something like this. Like, I love the look on this. I mean, that's some good solid chatters right there, right? Then if you kind of break out of this, right, and you go into Path, right? This is an AI company. It's also, look, this thing used to be $100. You got this big base. Remember, the longer the base, the sweeter the juice, right? Coming out of this one, week open, red to green on this one. Now, this one's very heavily watched, so just got to be a little bit careful. When everybody's kind of pounding on it, they're not as effective. It's good to find something like a little bit like ESTC sometimes. IoT, IPO breakout. Haven't seen an IPO breakout in quite some time, guys. When was the last time we saw an IPO breaking out to highs? It has been a rare occurrence. So, just something also to kind of keep in the back of your mind. IPO breakouts they've been rare, right? They've been rare. So I want you to add those 3 to your list, all right? Besides that, let's go into this, right? So those are the kind of 3 earnings breakouts. Now, I want you to move into a second bucket, right? Which is your big base mid-cap, sub-mid-cap. I'm not talking about micro floats, but just sub-mid-cap stuff, right? I want you to go AAOI, right? Beauty. You got breakout right here, man. Or a breakout, right? Nice flat top breakout. You got all this beautimous stuff happening here. Let's look at hourly chart. You got a level forming right there, right? That's huge. UPST, bros. This thing's been demolished. You got a breakout over the 200-day moving average, 20% move. It's heavily shorted too. Man, look at dude. If anybody was trading this on Friday, man, on Friday, I mean, look at the options on these things. And these weren't even the 0 DTE ones, right? These are the ones for December 8th. The 0 DTE, the ones on Friday, I mean, they were up 3,000, 4,000%. Guys, make sure you check out Levi in our options room. He's been crushing it. And he does it on like safe indexes and stuff like that. It still gets like these monster moves. But love this one. This is top of the list, right? We get a red to green on this bad boy. I mean, we're coming in. We're coming in real hot, all right? CVNA, this is also maybe too heavily watched. Sometimes when they're heavily watched, they move a little bit more herky-jerky. So I don't like this one as much, but it is a cult stock. 36 is a spot. Dude, you got 12 million shares, 150 million shares volume. Bros, that one's good. Let me tell you one that's not talked about, but I really like. You got old Peloton, man, right? The old Peloton here. Check this out. You got big base breakout coming out of here. Dude, this is the tour du jour here, right? This is the creme de la creme. It's the creme de la crap, but in essence, this has got like a big base on it, totally beaten down. You got short interest on this thing. Remember, it used to be $200. And, you know, in the end, like, look, it's still a $2 billion company, man. It's around. At some point, probably it'll get bought out by Nike or Under Armour or something. But in the meantime, we can have some fun with this thing. You can see here the range on it was pretty good. Like, you don't want to trade 20, 30 cent range, but, you know, like 60, 70 cent range on $5 stock, $6 stock is pretty good. I'd definitely add that bad boy to it. I want you to add in the old hood. The Hood Nation, right? So you had a pop, an inside day, and then a go. I think this one's going to come into this 10 spot relatively quickly, probably tomorrow. And then if it breaks out over the 200-day moving average, then we'll see the squeeze. I mean, look at the action on Schwab lately, right? Like even some of these, you know, more slower. Is that a word, more slower? Right? But some of these, like, you know, broker stocks have been going, and they've been going pretty good. Like when does Schwab move 3%? I mean, it's a 2 billion share float. That one's looking, you know, fantastic. I like those for the little guys, all right? And then there's a couple other ones here I think you want to add. You know, this is a third bucket, by the way, right? You've got your crypto stocks. So you got LSCK. This is a red to green prime time, right? Inside day, pull back, and then you get a huge go. You're breaking out over here. I think the one that's a little bit unloved, but it had good volume on Friday. Look at this, 32 million shares in volume. Peeking its head here, right? Peeking its head here. You got, if this thing takes out this kind of 230, bros, like you've got so much room. Now let's just talk about kind of some general mid-cap tech names that are going to get some heat. You got Dash. I don't know if this is considered mid-cap. It's really a large cap, but trades like a mid-cap. You got flag pattern there, 3% up, low float, 287 million shares. You got nice. This thing used to be $300, right? You got a nice base on this one. This is a show and go. You dip and rip on this thing. We got the old ARM. This is not necessarily, you know, not unwatched. I mean, this is, you know, a very easy trend line. Everybody and the uncle's watching this, but this one's getting some heat. You know, it moves pretty well. It doesn't do that much volume, but it moves pretty well. Watch this thing around 64.50. You know, this is one if it's not extended, right? So if it busts through, even at the open, and does an ORB or something along that end, I think it's going to be just fine. I'll put the rest of the link in the chat room, guys. Those are my faves. Guys, this market is hot, but do not get cocky. I've done this so many times in my life. You go on a 2 or 3 week run, you're feeling yourself, you let your account get too big, and then boom, you let your account get too big, you oversize, bam, your money's gone, and then next thing you know, you're in the wilderness for 40 years like the Detroit Lions. We're coming back though, but it took a long time, right? So you don't want to be like that. Let's go do this. Let's do the Lord's work. Peace.